All right, it says we are live. Hello and welcome to Friday Grace of Westminster live stream with me, your host, Konstantin. How are you doing today? Are you hot? In UK, we have a surprisingly high weather and the weather warning on Monday and Tuesday. So stay safe out there. We've got plenty of people in the chat already posting some controversial opinion. I mean, Seth started with the Rembrandt lighting. I want to know, Seth, tell me, Rembrandt lighting, is it good or not? Does it require a lot of post-processing, or you can get it within the lighting? So let's start with this. I can, how's the audio, by the way? Is audio delay still present? We set it to 5 milliseconds last time and there was a delay. So it is now at 6. So hopefully it's all syncs up nicely. We're still testing our Atom Mini Pro. I was playing with the Q, so do tell me how the sound is. Hopefully not too muddy this time. And what else do we have here? Give us a like and subscribe. You know, that helps the stream. It shares it to people who are not aware of it. So that's quite nice. Before we start and before, let's wait for people to join us a little bit. So for our EU and UK viewers, there is a still Nikon summer promotion. It's, I think, right now on the 18th of the month. So if you're thinking of buying something Z-related, then definitely place your order now because there's some savings to be had. I think it's anything between 90 to 270 pounds, which is nice to have. Coffee Fund is also open, so if would like to support the channel, that's the right way to do this. There's a dollar button that you can press under the video, etc., etc. So I'm just going to go through the comments just to make sure that the sound is good and you can hear me okay. The sound is delayed. Is it just delayed for Yaman or everyone else? Still delayed. Okay, so I'm just going to change to, let's put it to 7 milliseconds delay. It's delayed. Okay, so let's put it to 4. I'm just going to set it to 4, see what happens. Okay, so it is on 4 now. There's a 30 seconds delay, so hopefully it improves. Your voice sync is still off. Okay, how's the sound itself? Is it nice? How's the clarity? Is it boomy? Is it muddy? Do let me know. I did change the sync, so tell me if it's actually worth or better right now. So Ed says good here. I'm adjusting Artemis frames, yes, via the audio sync set, yes. So set it to 4. It was at 6. So we tried 5 last time, was delayed. I set it to 4 now, milliseconds. The gain is fine. The gain is fine. I'm not adjusting the gain. That's for sure. I'm adjusting the delay. Seems okay. Good. Sounds good. Still a bit delayed. The audio is perfect. File and sync is good. Okay. So, is the sync good or is still out of sync? So different people say different things. Audio is advanced of video. Okay. So let's go back to 5 frames per second then. Okay. Go back to 5. I'm on 5 milliseconds delay now. I tried CS6 before, and there was a delay as well. So if it's still delay, let's try again. That's the problem with all those new technology. So the more we learn, the better we'll become. We are closer. Okay, let's go back to 6. I'm going to push it to 6 frames now. And if it's still out of sync, the last one we're going to try is 7, and then we're going to move on to this. For anyone who joined us right now, we're going to talk about your photography controversial opinions. So if you got any unpopular opinion, let's say why people should film nowadays or why people should digital, they should all go to the bin, do put them in the chat and do put QQQ at the front. It just helps me to filter through things because I'm a one-man band now. Actually, no, I have a Sam as a DJ in the background. He's going to pin some nice comments. So if there's something I miss, he's going to pin it. And we also will try to do some polls. So just keep it interactive with you guys. I want to do it more of like a chat show with you. See what happens. I need to practice being alone. Becky's, you know, she's fantastic at this. I'm not. So let's see. I am sweating. You just can't see it, but very heavily here. Okay. Go back down. Sync is worth. Out of sync. Okay. Okay, guys. So we're going to go back to 5. And we're going to leave it at that, I think. And then I'm going to play with it in the future. So I don't know if, let's say, it's different in the United States or somewhere else. I assume it's going to be the same because audio is probably being out of sync on my computer and then it just goes to the internet. Anyway, so it seems like everyone is here. So I did mention the coffee fund. Let me just give you a couple of things, a couple of controversial opinions that came through Instagram. The first one is the easy one. It's the film one. Yeah. So a lot of people put different things. So someone said, that was me, who said film photography can coexist with digital. I kind of took a middle ground out of the two, but different people went extremes. So one said is, why are we going back to film? Digital cameras rock. Someone replied, film is better than digital in every way. Someone posted an opinion saying, you are not a photographer until you develop your own film. Yes, film, not digital. Wow, that's a controversial one. And then film is overrated. Those are different concerns. Obviously, I understand that you know, everyone is different, and I do shoot both film and digital, and I think we all can do this. I also listen to FLAC digital files, which are lossless, but I also listen music on vinyl, you know, so I don't think there's a right answer here and there. So, but you do what you like, and I think it's really good. One point about film photography that people mention, and it's something that I don't really know about, and I think that's something we need to talk about as a film community, is one of the things about chemicals involved in developing film. So that is, I don't know how it is ecologically bad or not. I assume chemicals are bad. How bad they are, I'm not sure. But it's something that I want to speak to film, to people who deal with film. Like we did talk about that with people from Analog Wonderland, which is UK film stock here. So maybe we'll set something up in the future, who knows. But tell us what you think about film. I mean, I shoot film, I shoot medium format mainly on film, rarely 35mm, because I do feel like 35mm is covered on digital. We get there. Obviously, you don't get the same tones, but you can get look similar to film in that. But another thing is obviously medium format. No one's going to give me digital 6x7 sensor, unfortunately. So technically, if someone releases a camera with 6x7 sensor, I'll take it. 33x44, which is GFX and Hasselblad, is not good enough. 6x45, I don't think it's good enough for medium format photography personally. So again, that's my unpopular opinion. So if someone gives me 6x7 sensor, then maybe I'll consider it, obviously at affordable price. Now, people started to talk about the sensor size. So do let me know what you think. So like some people shooting still with Olympus OM system is, you know, micro four thirds. I personally think it's too small. That's me. You know, I personally full frame guy. I don't like DX sensors myself, but obviously they're good enough for most of the things. I didn't like Nikon One system. I did try GFX 100S the other day. I think it's lovely. I don't see much difference between full frame and medium digital format personally. That's what I'm saying. Give me 6x7 sensor, see what happens. Thank you, Gene, and thank you, Fred, for your support. Much appreciated. So hopefully I'm not rambling too much. Let's have a look at your comments. Okay, so Edmonton says, today for many photographers, the only important thing about a lens is how sharp it is. I absolutely agree with that. I don't think it's the right metric to choose the lens. I think you should really hire the lens or do some tests with the lens before committing to purchase it. Obviously, you can go to places like Flickr, and obviously a lot of people sharing images on social medias. Obviously, you got places like Reddit. Facebook groups, surprisingly, have quite a lot of communities. I kind of disregarded Facebook for all social stuff. I don't use Facebook, but recently I've looked at Facebook groups, and it's basically Reddit in a small thing. So, you know, they ripped off Reddit, and that's what it is. But there's a lot of people sharing their pictures with it. So when you're looking at the lens, have a look at the rendering more than anything else. For me, sharpness is not that important. I think in terms of ultimate sharpness, I would take bokeh rendering and just overall the rendering of the image over the sharpness of the image myself. It doesn't mean I'll go with a very old lens, but, you know, some old lenses are fantastic. Nikon lens, you look into medium format photography, those Mamiya and Pentax lenses are superb, and you can also adapt them to digital bodies. So the beauty of that mount is there's so many adapters available. So, you know, I think it's personally, it's much better mount than Sony mount or Canon RF mount. Again, I'm throwing some unpopular opinions at you, but I think it's one of those things that you can get those lenses and then adapt them to the body. And the good thing about them as well, you don't need to spend a lot of money to get that beautiful image quality. So so I spoke to Richard the other day, and he said, yeah, I can use old Zeiss lenses, you know, on my Nikon body, and they give me fantastic image quality, and I didn't need to spend too much. I don't need to buy the latest glass. I can just get an adapter and use those lenses. So obviously, you do lose autofocus, you do lose certain features of the camera, but from another point of view, it's much easier to use that system with a manual focus lenses because you can digitally zoom in into the image and check your focusing, and also effectively you can preview your exposure, which is again something that with DSLRs would be much harder to do, obviously, unless you know what you're doing. Okay, so we've got a comment from Great Loco. He says, does it make sense to have small cameras when lenses get bigger and heavier? Good question. Good question. Obviously, the whole point of mirrorless system was supposed to be smaller lenses. And in reality, we've got lenses which are about the same size as f-mount lenses, most of them. But on the bright side, coming back to optical quality and sharpness, they are much better lenses than f-mount lenses. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. The technology has advanced quite a bit since then, so they can now produce obviously much sharper lenses. Now, I do appreciate 28 and 40 pancake muffin lenses, so I think they're really good lenses to use. And in terms of this, if you do need a smaller setup, this is a good way to do it. One thing I was puzzled with actually recently on all those YouTube videos, a lot of people have Z9s with either 28mm pancake or 40mm attached to it. And I was just thinking, what's up with this? Because obviously it's a big camera. The lens looks too small on that. I can imagine something like Z5, Z6, and Z7 on this, but Z9 with a 40 pancake, I don't know. Obviously, it doesn't mean you can't use it, but it just looks weird. Rich says, out of things in USA, yeah, unfortunately it was this. Hi, Chuck from AP Studios. He's asking, in my opinion, we as community need to stop the complaining about the video in the new cameras. The hybrid camera is here to stay, and stills only cameras are niche now. I think, generally, this is an opinion that a lot of people will agree with, because it's all comes as a part of the package nowadays. Video is there. It was there since D90, not 5D Mark II. D90 was the first DSLR with the video there. So, and you paying for this. You would pay the same money with, for the camera without the video functionality. So it is there. It's nice to have. And if you look at the advanced options, Z9 is probably the perfect hybrid camera for a lot of people until, let's say, we're going to get Z8. And obviously, let's see the future release like Z7 Mark III and Z6 Mark III cameras. I absolutely agree with you, Chuck. I think, it's a part of the package. We just have to deal with it. Now, a lot of people do want to have a dedicated video camera. Again, maybe not the group that is watching us right now, but I think it's a nice option to have. I don't think Nikon needs to go and develop, let's say, a set of cine lenses specifically designed for that. So that's, I think we don't need that, but we can release a camera with extra fan attached to it. Let's say maybe it's not going to be as weatherproof as video cameras. They're not really weatherproof because of all those holes for the air just to come out, because it tends to heat up quite easily. So, I think Nikon can make one. I don't think you need to put a lot of research and development there. We've now already eliminated this 30mm recording limit, so it is not there anymore with new releases. Z9 has a lot of video features. So in terms of this, all you need to do really is slap a fan on it, make it maybe in a box shape. It's a new trend now for video cameras to have a box which you can attach to a lot of accessories with. Speaking of accessories, we just got Z9 small rig cage, which you can attach like things like Ninja and things like this to it. So I'm going to try that next week. So hopefully we're going to get some video out. Okay, Russell is saying, my unpopular opinion is I bought Z30. Oh, don't get me started on that. So I got a couple more, Russell, opinions on that. So someone said on our Instagram, says, I like Z30 for entry-level photography. Someone said people need to get over the fact that the 30 is not catering for their needs. Absolutely agree. And in terms of this, I think let's just let the Z30 be. I mean, camera is not out yet. Let's see how it pans out. A lot of people agree with me when I say that I don't like the idea of having 3 cameras with the same sensor and it's basically the same guts but different casing. So, we don't want to buy different skins, but it is catered for different groups of people. So hopefully, some people will buy this camera, and hopefully we're going to get more people into the system. Not the people who already use Nikon system, but actually people who never bought a camera before, or maybe who had at some point and shoot cameras and now decided to switch to something more professional. Speaking of content creating as Z30 is aimed at the videographers, I had another controversial opinion here where people said that content creation, people who create who are content creators, they're not filmmakers or cinematographers. And I think there's truth to that. And as well, I would say I agree with it and no, because yes, a lot of videos, let's say what we do right now, let's say this channel, we're not really filmmakers. We're not cinematographers. We're learning how to do it more professionally and how to deliver the information to you in staying form. And cameras like Z6 with follow focus system on a gimbal is a perfect setup for this. Let's say lav mics, remote mics, they do the job for this type. Obviously, if you're a professional filmmaker or you're a commercial videographer, it's completely another set of tools. You probably will buy a different camera with a different color science. So Blackmagic cameras are quite popular, reds, you name it. The Sony cameras, the big box cameras, you spend a lot of money for those things, but you're also going to spend a lot of money on just to kind of rig it out a little bit. You need rails, you need lens support. You may want to buy certain cages, external monitors, all those different things. And in some cases, you'll buy a different set of filters as well. So, they're different things. I think, yes, of course, we're not, we're not ready to, shoot feature films, but I'm sure we can experiment with it. I think it's just not a clear cut there. I think at some point, content creator can become a cinematographer and vice versa. And obviously, cinematographers, doing their own YouTube channels, obviously the level of video production is much, much higher. I agree. All right, so Konstantin shared his unpopular opinion. So he says, use the fantastic bargain high-end DSLRs available because of mirrorless madness. Steve McCurry showed the Afghan girl on the mechanical thumb-cranked SLR with a manual lens. I agree. I think it was, 105 2.5 lens, if I'm not mistaken. We can potentially shoot with the cameras from 19th century and still get good shots. I'm personally the image quality guy over the autofocus guy. I can't care less about autofocus, but I'm not a sport photographer. Z9 can have as many points, obviously not, not enough for Sony and Canon shooters. Apparently you need to have more points for your autofocus system. Again, very unpopular opinion, but in my opinion, the picture should speak for itself. Your equipment shouldn't speak for your picture, really. If you're taking it with Z9 and I don't know, 50,000 pound lens, and another person took a picture with, let's say, an old Nikon F, and a cheaper lens that he picks up from. So there could be equal images in terms of impact, in terms of, let's say, social commentary, and just in terms of image quality. I personally think that the human eye on your composition skills are more important than your camera exposure settings. Obviously, it's all relative. Obviously, if you're shooting, let's say, 5 stops underexposed, you're not going to get a good shot. Or if the image, let's say, is blurry and you want it to be sharp, it's not going to be a good shot. But I think composition adds more to the image, contributes more to the image, to the final image, than your camera settings. Okay, so I'm looking at so Sam sets up a vote for us. So Z30, yes or no? So interesting split. We have basically about 34% says yes, they'll buy Z30, and 6%, so 2/3, say no. And I think it's fair. I think the criticisms are valid, but also I think that people who come and watch this channel, they won't buy this camera. That's as simple as that. But I'm glad that we still have people who would buy Z30 and still watch us. Hopefully you're going to get some interesting content from us, and hopefully we can help you with your photography journey. Okay, so we got Nilo Fido sharing his controversial opinion. He said the DF is the best everyday all-round camera, small and powerful. Absolutely agree. We have our colleague Steve who uses his DF daily. That's the only digital camera he has. And for him, it does all the things. Obviously, it doesn't shoot video. So if you're into video side of things, that's not the camera for you. But I think we can choose the cameras that suit our needs more than anything else. So some people, let's say, like he shoots an FM3A. So he has Fuji X100V, which is, a very nice camera, point-and-shoot camera, which is digital camera from Fuji. And obviously he's got quite following, but he's got both and he tends to shoot more on FM3A. Is that correct? Yes, so he's nodding over here, so you don't see him, but he does. So, so, you don't need aperture priority. You can set your shutter speed and manual, and aperture settings, etc., and taking pictures with this. But some people can't live without Z9, and it's absolutely fine. You choose the camera for you. It's a tool, so you choose the tool that suits your style of photography or your specific needs. Baxter says, I don't know why everyone doesn't use the P mode and shoot JPEG manual. RAW is overrated. Okay, Baxter, now. That's a dangerous line to walk. I mean, if Becky would be here, she would wear the t-shirt I shoot RAW when I have to. Obviously, we all know that. And I put everything on Z50 because that's what I do. In a way, I think, again, whatever you think suits your needs. If you want to shoot JPEGs, a lot of people using picture profiles or Fuji call the film simulations on their cameras, and you get good shots straight out of the box. I mean, we all share JPEGs on social media, and that's pretty much the main kind of platform of sharing the images. If you do that, then why not? I mean, you look at young generation of people, they don't care about technical side of things. They don't care about shooting RAW. As long as they get a good image in camera, they're happy with it because it's all about sharing things quickly. You're taking a shot, it's already online. And you know what? Coming back to social media, you don't need to be a good photographer to have a huge following, You just need to have people who like your style of photography. As simple as that. Obviously, social media on its own, it's, something that we photographers struggle to learn because obviously to be good at social media, you really need to know what you're doing. So there's lots of things like, hashtags used to be, not anymore. The Reels is a new thing. Yeah, Instagram becoming new TikTok. It's not really a photographer's social network, but unfortunately, we don't really have any other option. I mean, there's a new thing opened up now for film photographers. I forgot the name, but Google it up. So I don't know, hopefully it picks up or not, but we will see. But technically, yes, to be a successful Instagram photographer, you don't need to be a good photographer in real life. You just need to know how to work with algorithm. Probably similar with YouTube, but this is a different story. I mean, we're a small channel. We grow organically. We're not going as viral, but we also don't shoot videos that say, oh, this is bad. Oh, why did they do this? Oh, they on the marketing meeting, they haha. We don't do this. Some do. I understand that there's a people who, there's obviously viewership for that. I don't like it personally. Again, it's probably an unpopular opinion, but every channel has their own thing. So, and they grow with different paces, so that's the thing. So again, we have this controversial opinion about YouTubers as well. I don't generally watch any YouTubers with million, followers because generally I know it's mostly click and bait. I mean, we don't need, we just kind of look at, in photography, big channels, without naming names, but it's clear enough that they're not there to share the wisdom. Rarely. I mean, if you get that, that's great. I mean, I would say maybe 10-15% of those videos, they actually provide some knowledge. The rest, unfortunately, is a click and bait. I mean, they're, big offenders, but we're not going to call those names. So, okay, let's see what else we have here. So Albert says, Nikon D850 will be the F6 of DSLR era. It will be. It sounds to me that it will be the case. Obviously, I'm sure you all read Nikon rumors. By the way, don't send Nikon rumors articles to us. We do read Nikon rumors. And there's a report from Nikkei that they say Nikon is basically stopping DSLRs and switching to Z system. While it is probably an unpopular move from Nikon, I think it makes sense because you can't really spend research and development on two systems. I think DSLRs reached the level where it's difficult. It's really difficult to improve on what it is. And I don't think Nikon will spend more money on developing D6 system and pushing it further. So in terms of this, I think my personal unpopular opinion is we probably will see D850 replacements. Maybe, hopefully, that's my hope at least. But I don't think we'll see another D6 or D7. D3000 is effectively discontinued. D5000 is officially discontinued. I don't remember last time we saw D7500 or D500 camera. D500 has been out of stock for months as well. So in terms of this, currently the camera that sells the most is D850. And I think if we see any replacement of that, that's basically going to be the same camera with updated sensor, whatever that is, 60 megapixel sensor from Sony or higher, who knows. Okay, let's see what else we have. We have quite engaged chat today. If you haven't liked and subscribed this stream, please do. Please do. I know it's out of sync, but we would definitely appreciate it. And the coffee fund is open, so if you feeling like supporting this channel, then please do. Okay, what else do we have here? Let's have a look. I've got a couple more comments here. So one of the controversial opinions, the pixel peepers are never satisfied. What do you think about that? Do you pixel peep your image? How often? Is it every shot? Is it something that you don't care about? Obviously, if you look at other brand, there's a Fuji X Pro 3 camera, which made a design decision to actually close that screen at the back. So you actually need to open up to look at it. And it was designed to encourage you to think more the film way, so to concentrate more on the image itself. You know, obviously, again, it's a very polarizing camera. It's not for everyone. I personally think it's a brilliant decision. You know, maybe it's not convenient. And if you start to think about design has to be functional, convenient. But at the same time, it really depends. If you're not checking your image, you know, then you would enjoy a camera like this. And if it makes you approach photography from a different angle, instead of, let's say, spraying and praying, basically, you know, that's one way to do this. One thing that we tend to forget with digital photography is, yeah, we say, oh, just take a shot, have a look at it, see if you like it or not, you know. So you forget about this thing about framing the shot, make sure everything is correct, different approach, maybe more slower approach to photography. Okay, what else do we have here? We have Mani, who says, I agree. My controversial opinion, we talked way too much about gear and specs and not about the art and image. Absolutely agree with you, Mani. That's why I really should film when we don't do YouTube stuff, because I need some time and space to take my mind off of all those, you know, specifications, megapixels, etc., etc. Again, commercial work that I do now, it's I would say 80% digital, it's 20% film photography. Okay. Interesting thing as well, someone commented about that people, you know, people who talk tech, worry about tech, you know, though those tech channels, the photographer channels, etc., that they're not good photographers. That's another controversial opinion, in my opinion. I personally agree that a person's portfolio should speak for itself. So it's always, when people talk megapixel, etc., I do like to check, let's say, a person's Instagram or web page, because I think it tells a lot about the photography itself and his experience. We don't need technically perfect images. I don't think that photography needs to be perfect. I think you can shoot with slow shutter speed and get that motion blur for your artistic expression. You know, you look at a lot of documentary photographers, you know, you look, you know, like you don't need to be, it doesn't need to be perfectly lit. It doesn't need to be, you know, sharp. It doesn't need to have, you know, perfect exposure and shutter speed settings. If the image gives you feels, you know, if it gives you the feeling that you've been there, it has social commentary, etc., like, well, documentary photography, let's look at that. It doesn't need to be technically perfect. Fashion is a good example of this. You got anything from studio shots and CGI to handheld slow shutter speeds, you know, etc., just to replicate the mood. So, you know, or you shoot fashion with point shoot cameras, you know, and the built-in flash of those, you know. So style of photography is more important than actually technical parts or camera settings, equipment you use, etc. Okay, what else we have here? Yeah, so Ray says, you know, thumbs up, yeah, I use D40 every day. So, you know, Ray's using D40. Why not? We did a video with the photographer Lorraine, and she had D40 and Z50 as her cameras. And the reason why she used D40 because she liked it. She liked the image it would give her. You know, D40 came out when? 10 years ago? D40 is not a very high resolution camera, but if a photographer likes it, why not? Okay, Russell says, not sure if this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm of the school of spending money on lenses and not bodies. It's not controversial. We always say, invest in lenses. The bodies you will swap every now and then, so the lenses that normally will stay with you. Chuck says too many people have removed out from photography. Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. Again, it depends what you like in photography. Let's say I'm not really a landscape person that much, so I probably will enjoy good, let's say, landscape photography, but I'm not a big fan. It's just not something I'm interested. I like more documentary photography. I do enjoy fashion photography. Speaking of fashion photography, a lot of photographers call themselves fashion photography, while in reality it's more of a photograph of a woman or man dressed up. There's a lot more goes into fashion photography than this. Again, beauty photography. So I would call it portrait photography more than anything else. So to shoot fashion photography, you have to work with a group of people. You need to have a person who dresses the person, or unless you have obviously, the sense of fashion, etc., etc. There's a lot more involved than just photography. Photography is a small part of the whole fashion production. A lot of people, again, if you look at the Instagram accounts, it's not the case. It's absolutely not the case. How are we doing? It's energetic, isn't it? I'm talking a lot. Sam was looking at me. He's like, wow, I haven't seen you talking that much. Actually, the good thing is I am practicing. Definitely need some water. My coffee is getting cold. Coffee fund is open. Okay, let's see what we have here. Steve Neal asks, when does photography end and graphic design begin? That's a good question. The way I see about it, and someone actually put about it, someone who's using Photoshop doesn't create the photography, they create digital art. I don't agree with that because we had image manipulation, from the beginning, really. We had, a lot of stuff was done within burning and, dodging and burning in a dark room, not Lightroom. There's lots of enhancement to the image was there. I don't have a problem people even using, let's say, CGI within the image, if it's the image they create. Obviously, if you're shooting a documentary shot, that was controversial a couple years ago, where he put some smoke from explosion or something into the image and it wasn't there, that's obviously a manipulation. I don't agree with that. But I personally think that photographer is not just a photographer, he's an artist, and his images are a representation of his artistic views. So in terms of this, if you want to use Photoshop to enhance the image, let's say, you can. And obviously, if you heavily enhance the image, then obviously it becomes more of a digital artwork. But if you doing more of a kind of burning and dodging side of things, or trying to get the raw file to the way the image looked when you saw it, then I think it's totally possible, and acceptable. Because obviously raw files tend to come out flat. That's why when you, let's say, you shoot video, you generally, they say, shoot with a flat profile or shoot with as neutral profile as possible. So speaking of, let's say, Z6, flat profile on Z6 is not very good. So what we did, we actually showed all the videos with neutral and then we color graded it. And now I switched to portrait mode, picture control for video. And then, that helps me then to grade the image a little bit. But as we say, we all use now Lightroom on our computer, so it's effectively our digital darkroom. I don't see the problem with that. But again, in commercial photography, you do tend to use more CGI than need. I mean, like, let's think car photography. Have you seen those beautiful cars inside those, caves? They would never be able to put that car in there clearly. So it could be two things. It could be a composite of car being shot somewhere else and trying to match the lighting, and then, the shot of the cave was shot separately. Or what a lot of people do nowadays, it's actually 3D model of a car, then put on the image of that cave. So, there's different things that they do this. Yeah, Seth is going to pop off. Thanks for joining us, Seth. Quick announcement. Me and Seth are going to do live stream together next week, same time. You know us, we can talk, so, come join us, or we're going to have an interesting conversation. What I like to speak to Seth about is genuinely because he uses other brands and he talks about other brands, so he knows more about Fuji, Canon, and Sony combined than me. So what I always like to ask him is like, okay, how's this company is doing? How's that? So if you want to know if you Nikon user and you want to see what's happening on another side of things, so then do join us that. And obviously we're going to compare it to Nikon, and then we're going to have an interesting conversation on photography industry. I think it's something that's worth having. Obviously, Z8. We're going to discuss that. So it's going to be quite interesting. So Becky is in the chat. Bex, tell me, how am I doing? How am I doing? Well, she didn't say anything, but she's looking forward to see me with Seth next week. So that's good. All right. Sam, do we have more things? I mean, the chat is really, really lovely today. So we got David Liu. Okay, David. Okay, what does he say? He says Costa Rican coffee is better than Sumatran coffee. Okay. Okay, this is something that I can relate to, definitely. Not the cameras, who needs that? So, but I do love South American coffee, but African coffee is fantastic as well. I'm not keen on Brazilian coffee. I don't know why, but I kind of not big on Brazilian coffee. Obviously the exceptions from all the rules, but like Kenyan is my favorite right now. I do drink black coffee. I don't add sugar. I don't get, I don't add milk or anything. So for me, the sweetness of the coffee makes a lot of difference. So I like the fruit in my coffee. I don't like that much, let's say, chocolate in there. But if you do drink milk drinks, then yeah, you do want to get chocolate to go through, some nutty flavor. So that's that. All right, let's see what else is here. So how many likes do we have here? Sam, can you see how many likes we have? 94. We have 94 likes and 155 people watching us. Come on. Don't be shy. I mean, you can put dislike. No one sees it anyway. So, it's fine. It's fine. We're all friends here. We're all welcome. I hope no one is getting offended by any controversial and unpopular opinions. We're here again to hear and share those, because obviously sometimes you don't want to post on the internet because your opinion, you think, well, you're not going to get support. And since we have a herd mentality on the internet, you don't want to post something that people won't like, because then you're just going to get spammed for eternity. So, so we're here to share. We're going to read through that. That's nice. Okay, so yeah, Chuck is saying about pixel peepers. Purists, it's true. Armchair critics hurt the photography community. Well, we all kind of armchair critics, aren't we? Like, I mean, we all chat on the internet. Like I have interesting thoughts on the whole YouTube community. I mean, I think what starting now, like obviously we have the big YouTubers that started a long time ago. Yeah, so we've got, Tony and Chelsea, obviously huge channel, we've got Kai, who's got huge following, Jared, obviously they're there, they made it. Yeah, so, and then in the last 2 years, we got new breed of YouTubers came in, and they're all different age. They all come from different environments all over the world. And I think what's happening now is very interesting because instead of trying to be sensational, and that's what YouTube likes, we're trying to have a conversation. And I think it's more important because it's more sincere. Obviously algorithm wants us to put stupid faces as the covers and be as clickbaity as possible. And we probably will have to do that eventually, hopefully not selling our souls too much to the devil. But I think what happening now is very interesting because yes, we talk more, and I think there's a community around it. I mean, just look at you guys here. I mean, it's much, much appreciated. The chat is lively today. That's what I really like because, I can rumble, for an hour, hopefully. The problem is I don't get the feedback from you because it's not conversational. I can't hear you, but looking at the chat, I can see that you're responding, you talk between each other, and that what kind of helps this channel to be really more than anything else. Okay, so David Luke has another controversial opinion. No, it's the same. It's still the same opinion. Come on, Sam. Come on. I need more opinions. Oh, we got Ronald. Thank you so much. Sorry, I missed. Thank you. Much appreciated. I am doing great. Thank you. What coffee I'm having today? In UK, yeah, Square Mile's coffee, red brick blend. Here we go. So if you're in UK, Square Mile Roastery is really good. Really good. Kind of tend to buy from them quite a lot. Okay, Becky, tell me, how am I doing? Vahography is in chat. Good. We are the pillar of Nikon community. When I hear those things, Vahan, it makes me really shy. I start to blush and everything. I don't, I can deal with criticisms, but when people are actually nice, I start to blush. So thank you. Thank you so much. The good thing is I'm 10, so you can't see that. So, yeah, guys, put some good photography channels in the chat, because let's just expand our views. I mean, I watch a lot of film photography channels. I don't really watch that much digital photography channels nowadays, because obviously we create those things, and obviously I do watch the videos by our community. I think that's important, because we know what their opinions are and we can have these conversations between each other. But something I do enjoy, watching film photography channels like Grainy Days. I enjoy his videos personally, because I need entertainment in my life. I don't need clickbait. I need entertainment. You may like the humor, you may not, but we do find things that we enjoy, and it's like, sometimes you need to wind down, isn't it? So, and sometimes you don't want to do things. So what do I do when I wind down? I'm putting FIFA 22 on my PS5. And I put an audio book or nice podcast, maybe a photography podcast, maybe something else, and that helps me to wind down. And some nice videos that don't throw tech specs on it. Like if you look at the camera review nowadays, 90% of all the videos are basically the same. What saves those videos, and which is they actually review themselves, the personality, and the experience with equipment. I look more into that, and I look at the pictures more into that. I can't care less, let's say, about an Engadget video or the Verge video on the Z9, because I know I probably can do better review on Z9 or any of our viewers here than Engadget, because they cover everything. They cover mobile phones, they cover drones. I have no idea about those things. Apart of, I have an iPhone and it does everything. I buy another iPhone in 3 years. But it's one of those things that I think it's more important now when we cover the equipment or we do the reviews, is actually the personality of the reviewers and his personal experience with the equipment more than anything else. I think we had enough of marketing spiel. We don't need to read press releases. It's it's getting tiring. It's tiring to ask questions and get a reply as a PR talk where it's a non-answer. So I think the more we share our own experience, the better. Thank you, Jeremy. Much appreciated. Okay, we have Nigel here. Using large format is a great way to learn photography. It's a scary way to learn photography. I am hoping to get a large format camera this year. So I'm looking at 5x4. Probably was it Chamonix or Chamonix? Chinese manufacturer with a French name. So those cameras are light, made of wood, tend to be highly recommended by film community. So I'm looking into this. I was looking into Toyo cameras and all the other cameras, Speed Graphic, they're quite on the heavy side, and I'm tend to travel light. So, but I do want to look into film photography at some point, into large format photography at some point. So I think it's going to be a great learning experience for me. I've done large format photography at school, but it was a matter of like 2 days testing one camera, etc. Art Bear says, Becky and Con are the best marketing Nikon has going. Well, the thing about our marketing is we don't market. We like the brand and we talk about it, and we try not to be one-sided. Even if, let's say, we try to bring different opinions onto the table, even it's something that we don't share. Let's say sometimes maybe I can sound controversial and say, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. Maybe it's something that, let's say, I agree with Becky, let's say, on that opinion, but we want to bring the voices from different spectrums of the community, people who are happy with the equipment, people who don't, because we want to address it. We don't want to be just all positive. That's basically PR marketing. Everything's positive. We have delay of Z9, but it's great, isn't it? We can't do that. If this delay is a delay, so if the camera is in high demand, we're going to talk about this, Okay. Let's see. The Great Loco says, while I use Canon, Sony, and Pentax systems, I like Nikon the most, and Grace have good information. Most channels with millions of followers are too biased. Well, that's the problem with big channels, isn't it? I think at that point, they're not in the game for, basically aiding to the community and, sharing information with the community. They're more in, in the game of making money. But again, I could be wrong on this one. I could be wrong, but it seems like, that people tend to forget what they came there for originally, but it's life. I don't know. I want to see us in 5 years. Who knows? Maybe we're going to have a 1 million channel. Maybe we're going to have a 15,000 channel, I don't know. But hopefully we can keep that sincere attitude. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, you'll judge us later anyway. So that's that. So Konstantin is on the roll. Okay. I agree with Becky, Samantha. Yes, I do. We always agree. I always agree with Becky, And when I don't agree, we discuss those things and we agree with each other, So the good thing, what we do is we tend to discuss things, and I think discussion is important, isn't it? It's like... I'm not going to go there. It's fine. Sometimes we have to censor ourselves. But not this time. So let me tell you. Okay, so Sam started another poll, and he says, which format do you shoot? DX, FX, medium format, large format. So FX is a big winner here. We got 71% voting for full frame format. I'm a full frame shooter. I also shoot medium format. I don't shoot DX. I don't shoot DX. I was surprised by the sensor quality of Z50. We did this Wetlander review of 23 1.2 lens, and the files that came out of it were lovely. So I can tell you that, but it's not going to make me switch to a DX format, that's for sure. And the good thing about cameras like Z6 and Z7, they're pocketable nowadays. So something like I won't take D850 with me for a walk, for just leisure, really. D850 was my commercial camera, Z6 I can, so we shoot with Z6s. I can definitely take Z6 with me, and the lenses are reasonably small enough. Of course, you can put 24-70 2.8, and it is big. 51.2 is massive, but you can also put 24-70 or 24-200 lens, and it's reasonably pocketable. I am hoping to get one of those primes. I'm still thinking I'm more of a 40mm guy than 28, but I do like 28 as well. So you just need to be a little bit closer, I guess. Okay, let's see what we have. Mike says, yes, large format is a great way to learn, see, and slow down. But since digital has happened, I now want to digitize what I saw. So that's the thing. I think any film photography is basically slows you down in a way, unless you shoot with something like F100 or let's say, very kind of fully automatic cameras effectively. But if you got manual focus camera, I think it's good. It's already makes you think. It's already, you're going to spend time focusing. And maybe, in something like FM2, you would have those plus and minus, like the little LEDs going up and down. Or you have little arrows there, which you need to line up. It's going to slow you down. Obviously, something like, 4x5 or 8x10 photography will slow you down even more. So I'm not going to go 8x10 this time. I'm thinking of getting 4x5, get probably 50 sheets of black and white film to start with, because it's the cheaper option. So Formapan is reasonably cheap, I think. It's like, works out as like a quid, one shot and £1. So that's pretty good. So that's probably $1 at today's exchange rate as well. So, and that's how I want to learn. And then I'll try to get into color. And I want to start to do portraiture with it. So let's see how it goes. At the moment, my Mia 7 is kind of scratches that itch, I would say. So Vahan is saying, I've been watching Bobby Tonelli's YouTube channel lately. Here you go. So that's a good recommendation. I need to watch that as well. So David says, check Hudson Henry. Absolutely agree. Great channel. Let's see what we have here. Here you go. Roy says, Zeiss ZF2 lenses are another world to use. Very interesting. That's the thing. One thing that maybe I don't regret really, but something I want to try in the future is some Zeiss lenses, just to see. But the Wetlander lenses, the recent ones for Z mount, are very, very good as well. I was quite surprised by the rendering of them. Very interesting. John Hughes asked, difficult question about format. It will depend on the job. Yes, agree. But if you shoot digitally, would you worry about the format, or would you use the camera that you already have, John? Because obviously you won't really choose DX camera unless, let's say, maybe you really need to get the focal distance going, you know. So maybe you got already 800 with a 2x teleconverter. Yeah, so that's already 16. And then you think, I need another DX crop on top, you know. But at the same time, you can put on Z7 and set the camera to DX crop and basically get similar reach, you know. So, but in film, yes. In film is a very different story. Yes, if I shoot studio or portrait, I would go with medium format. There's something about medium format that's, I would say, for 6x4.5, I'm not that convinced about, you know, over 35 mil. But once you go 6x7, amazing. It's just amazing. It's another level. And again, people won't agree with me, but for me, it definitely, those files, the way they come out, well, files, negatives, and then you scan them, yeah? So, you know, there's something different about them, which I enjoy. Again, sometimes you can't quantify things, you know, but you see, and it's kind of, yeah, it's there, and you just, yeah, you kind of, yeah, it's worth using that camera. Ooh, Greg asked me what's my favorite fashion photography. Is very difficult. I mean, you know, a lot of young kids nowadays are very good, but yeah, you can throw as many things. You basically just go on Amazon and type in fashion photography and see what books come up, you know, so very interesting. What I do like to see is actually non-fashion photographers trying fashion photography. Like, again, Nadav Kandar, you know, who shoots large format mostly. Him shooting fashion, not shooting fashion, you know, is very different compared to fashion photographers nowadays, you know, so it gives you different aspect. What I like about fashion photography, that could be a documentary. You can shoot it with point and shoot. You can shoot it with a large format. You can shoot it on digital. You can shoot it on film, etc., etc. I mean, coming back to film, a lot of editorial lifestyle commissions asking for film photography again. So again, it's something. It's you know, people can call it trend, whatever, you know, but it is something that is happening in fashion photography right now. So, you know, or lifestyle editorial photography. So portraiture effectively again. So. So Cupcake Bunny says, I vote for FX because it is still the format I shoot the most. Yeah, I think for a lot of people who are, let's say, who haven't started photography just now, they've been photographer for quite some time. Full frame photography is basically where it's at, because price-wise, it's achievable for, you know, say if you're just starting, you're probably, you know, it's a lot of money to spend, but for people who shot photography for quite some time, they can save up enough for the full-frame digital camera. And the good thing about it, that they are not that expensive nowadays. And obviously, you can start with the cheaper lenses and then upgrade in the future. I don't think that's, let's say, DX format. I personally would recommend DX format when you're starting out. You know, again, or if you're looking for pocketability more than anything else. But again, this is just me. Obviously, Becky has that 50 that she's using and she loves it. Konstantin says, yeah, I'm poor. I shot sport of birds and I have used D500 and it's 1/5 of the price of Z9. Exactly. It does the job, and you know, D500 is fantastic camera. You know, again, I'll take D500 over Z50 any day, but you know, again, it's one of the things that I need a camera to do certain things, and the build quality and the size of it for commercial or professional jobs makes sense for me. You know, so but again, I would take Z50 with me, you know, on the walk. All right, Sam starts another poll. Let's see what he has here. Would you prefer second-hand or new gear? Okay, this is an interesting one because it's like, you know, it's like buying a new car and you're taking it out of the dealership and it's already depreciated. So, you know, you bought a new camera and obviously you paid money for it, and unless you're going to have it for 5 years, then obviously you have, and you need latest and greatest, then second-hand makes sense for a lot of people. However, Z9 is a good example of it. Obviously, we got a huge jump in terms of technology. And in terms of this, you can't compare, let's say. It's, you know, unless you go for DSLRs and you stick with, let's say, D850 or D5, D6 cameras. If you need that autofocus performance, again, I'm not an autofocus guy, so it doesn't really make any difference for me. But if you need that autofocus performance, then you need to spend money on Z9 if you're a Nikon user, because that gives you the best possible autofocus available right now. Again, we can get comparisons with other brands and they are available on the internet, and people are going to start to throw focusing points at you and how many they are, etc., etc. But again, I would say you will definitely get better value for money by going secondhand. If you're a professional photographer, the camera that you buy is basically it's a business expense. You don't look at it in another way. But I think most of us are enthusiasts. So most of us are not commercial photographers. So that means we have something else. We either, let's say doing something else in our life, a different type of job, or we could be retired, or we could be just, very wealthy, who knows? And then we can decide what we want to buy. And in terms of this, for a lot of people, secondhand is definitely better value for money. However, if you need that cutting edge, then, you can spend money for it for sure. All right, Craig says, Olympus shooter here, but Con and Beck are charmingly informative and the enthusiasm is real. Who can resist? Thank you so much, Craig. I hope that you upgrade to a bigger sensor at some point. Nah, I mean, again, yeah, Olympus cameras are fantastic. Again, not for me. Again, sensor, we can have a big debate on the size of the sensor. I agree that if you, let's say, between DX and Micro Four Third sensor, I don't see much of a difference there, but I would go full frame personally straight away, but here we go. OM, one that just came out, apparently had a really good sales. So that at least the chatter that we hear in our industry. So at least when it first came out. So the first deliveries were quite, pre-orders were quite big. So that's interesting. That means people still shooting small sensors. Okay, Ray says, why is that 5 so overlooked and hardly mentioned? I think the problem with that 5, it's not really a problem. It's a great value for money. And because it's there and it's so convenient, that just it doesn't really how would you describe it? When you you have something and it's not it was there and you used all the time and you're so used to it, and maybe it's not going to win any awards in terms of, let's say, cutting edge technology, etc., etc. But it's there and it does the job really well. So that's what that 5 is. But yes, you start to look, because we look at technology more than anything else. That's what lots of YouTube channels do. They talk technology, and Z5 doesn't have that cutting edge technology. So it's basically, it's got, it's not Z6, yeah, so Z6 has slightly better sensor. So it's almost like Z6, but it's got different sensor. And because it's, not winning any awards in terms of design, people don't tend to look at it. Again, we're not, it's an entry level. So think about, let's say, D3000 series cameras or D600 series cameras back in DSLR time, and people didn't really look in those. It's not on trend. It's not, let's say, hype enough for a lot of people, and that's the reason for that. So, and obviously, even now, if you look at Z6, Z7, no one really talks about them. People tend to talk about Z9, and we're probably going to continue to talk about Z9 till whatever comes out next, either Z8 or Z7, Z6 Mark III generations, So you never know. Again, something like Z30, I don't think we're going to talk about it for too long, because is not designed for those people. We may start to see videos being created with our camera for the channels we're not going to watch, because it's not going to be our target group. But we will know about this. So that's why we're not going to talk about this. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap up now. It's been 1 hour. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. I'm sorry if I haven't answered everyone's controversial opinion, but I will look through them. And next week, we're going to have Seth. We're going to talk photography industry. So that's going to be, what you probably enjoy the most. Yeah, we're going to talk about Nikons, Canons, and Sonys of the world. So obviously, Seth is going to share his opinion on the cameras. And obviously, he's based in New York. So I want to ask him, how's photography industry in the United States compared to UK? So we're a small industry here, I guess, compared to the United States. So I want to ask him those questions. So do join us next week. And if you haven't liked this video yet, do hit us like and subscribe. We will see you next week. Thank you very much for joining us today. Goodbye.